After developing several well-regarded PC RPGs, BioWare released its mainstream moonshot in the form of Knights of the Old Republic. Unlike anything they'd seen before, and way more polished, console fans gobbled that game up like last night's pizza. After the brutally underappreciated Jade Empire, BioWare turned their eyes to the stars, dreaming of the most elaborate game world ever. That was Mass Effect, one of the deepest and most magical game worlds ever devised. 10 years and one acquisition later, Mass Effect Andromeda is upon us. Comparisons to the original Mass Effect trilogy and the epic journey of Commander Shepard are inevitable, and why not? Mass Effect was an undeniable milestone in the pantheon of role-playing games, and was one of the first to truly demonstrate the power of choice in video game narratives. Personally, I turn to a pile of squishy love mush when I think back on Mass Effect, Mako and all, and thus my anticipation for Andromeda was nothing short of stratospheric. Despite that, I strove to avoid any information, gameplay, and details pre-release. Expectations tend to do more harm than good, so consider this a true face value analysis. The Andromeda Initiative, a project intended to settle the Andromeda Galaxy, was founded in 2186, just a year after humans discovered the Prothean ruins on Mars. The project was spearheaded by Jan Garson, with the support of countless thousands, including Alec Ryder, your father. You play as Scott or Sarah Ryder, twins with differing backgrounds, motivations, and interests. What they share is a disconnect from their father, and an appetite for adventure. When the human ark Hyperion arrives in the Helios cluster, it turns out things haven't gone well. The Nexus, Andromeda's citadel, is in ruins, and the 7 golden worlds that were expected are inhospitable wastelands. To make matters worse, the mysterious Ket are running rampant around the sector, leaving a wake of chaos, and there's all sorts of political strife going on within the Nexus. The Ryder family is enigmatic, with the twins struggling mightily to understand both their own history and their father's motivations. The peripheral stories and B-plots in Andromeda sometimes seem rote, but more often than not they're at least as intriguing as the main mission. A lot of that has to do with a strong cast of characters. The Pathfinder team ticks almost all the boxes. Turian, check. Krogan, check. Asari, check. Brooding humans looking to fight the power and take no shit from nobody? Double check. This was initially off-putting as memories of Garrus and Rex and Liara lingered in my mind, but the squad quickly defines itself, leaving no doubt this is a clean break from the original trilogy. Peebee, Drac, Cora, Jal, and Liam are all interesting to get to know, with hang-ups and personal problems that I genuinely wanted to help them solve, rather than just do to get a forced and inevitable meet-me-in-my-quarters moment. Romances are somewhat more ambiguous than in the past, but such questlines are still triggered by obvious dialogue options that are conveniently marked with a heart. Mass Effect has always been diverse, too, and you'll be pleased to hear there are options galore regardless of your romantic leanings. The Ryders themselves are unpredictable and ever-changing. They come across as being absolutely human. I played as Sarah, though you can change her first name, and after finally settling on an appearance, more on that later, I was extremely happy to spend many hours tackling Helios with her. As you may know, the Paragon Renegade system is gone. While this has indeed removed some of the more puppies/butterflies and complete dick dialogue options, it's a totally positive move.
You changed this planet.
No longer are sentiments and options gated behind 50 hours of being an ass/angel, and it makes interactions infinitely more dynamic. You'll often be presented with 4 options featuring casual, professional, logical, and emotional responses. Thankfully, this system avoids the Fallout 4 all paths lead to yes problem, with much more delicate and gray area responses being the norm. Big decisions in Andromeda are often tough. Really tough. Big choices have obvious pros and cons, but more importantly, an uncertain outcome. Rarely will you be seeing a clear, this is the Paragon route option. World building has always been BioWare's bread and butter. Even when writing and technical aspects have been shoddy, they've still managed to build a hell of an environment. This is absolutely true of Andromeda and the Helios cluster, which is chock full of intrigue and wonder. One of the things I wondered is why Andromeda is so much like the Milky Way. Surely another galaxy zillions of miles away should be completely alien. But no, the dominant life forms are bipedal organics with 2 eyes and a mouth. There's nothing even as interesting as the original trilogy's Hanar and Elcor, and that's a crying shame. I quickly got over it though. Concessions must be made to familiarity lest the game get too abstract and weird for anyone to follow. In that context, it's the kind of world that makes you want to leave no rock unturned, as you might find something fantastic under it. The trouble is, what you find under those rocks is far from consistent. BioWare isn't exactly known for their flawless and poetic writing, but more often than not, their games have enough funny lines and heartfelt moments to carry the player along believably. Andromeda has 2 types of writing in it. that which is well done and connects me to the story, and that which feels like it was mailed in from dark space. By and large, the main story and prominent side missions are well done, with solid acting to back up the writing. This is particularly true of the aforementioned Ryders and squad mates. Sure, there are some campy jokes and mildly forced or cringy lines, but recall this is an epic space opera. Some of it ought to be that way. Some of the periphery, though, yikes. Characters like Foster Addison and Director Tan sound like a broken version of Siri that's had an accent randomizer applied. It's some of the worst I've heard, and that's saying something. Of course, this isn't just an acting problem or a writing problem. It's a full stack, why didn't anyone fix this problem that goes far beyond in-game chit-chat. Take visuals, for instance. At times, Andromeda is drop-dead gorgeous. The skyboxes, particle effects, and level designs are rock solid, routinely dropping my jaw. Non-human characters are great too, expressing a great deal in their facial expression despite the lack of motion capture. Humans though, good grief. Most humans, Ryder mostly included, look like a cardboard cutout with dead eyes and robotic movement. It's not that this isn't an improvement from the original trilogy, it's that it's a big downgrade. I know that this is a new engine for BioWare, but the animation here is worse than any other Frostbite game I've seen. There's also a good deal of texture pop-in and flickering on PS4 Pro, also something I've not seen in a Frostbite game. It seems that the engine change has had a negative effect on character creation too. Instead of offering a full range of customization, the creator has a bunch of preset heads that can be mildly altered for things like nose width. Making the Ryder of your dreams is still mostly possible, but you won't be seeing any "check it out, my Ryder totally looks like Ryan Reynolds" posts, unless things are dramatically changed. It's a shame really, as being Shepard and now Ryder was a massive draw for the series. Fortunately, the audio design is bloody incredible top to bottom. The music harnesses the history of the series while providing its own spin on things, while guns, powers, and especially the biotic jump are unqualified treats to listen to. It's the sharp and punchy kind of audio we've come to expect from the Frostbite engine, and it makes each environment exciting to dig into. A lot of that digging will be done in the Nomad, which drives like a less shitty version of the Mako from Mass Effect 1. Along the way, you'll build up the viability of colonies started on the planet, and drop off forward stations that can refill your supplies and protect you from the elements. The large open environments are enjoyable to cruise around, and there are lots of points of interest on each, ranging from side quests to combat encounters. That never gets boring because the combat is a thing of beauty. Combat in Andromeda is all about choices. You're no longer limited to playing a single class of character, meaning that all the biotic, tech, and combat powers are potentially on the table if you dedicate points to them. Spending skill points upgrades Ryder's profiles, which add bonuses to various aspects of combat. Ryder's AI buddy, Sam, allows you to switch profiles on the fly and adapt to any scenario that presents itself. In practice, this starts off a little uninteresting, but eventually becomes unbelievably fun. Throwing out an incinerate and charged overload at a shielded enemy before tossing a singularity out feels great, as you can be jumping, dashing, and shooting all the while. Combat can viably be different every single encounter, if you've got the creativity bug like I do for this game. It's smooth as a Solarian's bottom too, with gunplay that holds up well to most shooters, and solid cover mechanics. Control over your squad is drastically diminished though, and you'll now be limited to simple go there commands. This didn't really bother me though. You'll be so busy with your own powers that any additional micromanaging would feel like too much. It all works out in the end, as the squad AI doesn't try anything crazy positioning wise, and makes good use of their own powers. Drac also throws out a pithy, "well that was fun," after some battles, so I give bonus points for that. Gathering new loot and equipment is done via traditional containers and chests, but also through a research and development system. You'll spend a good deal of game time scanning objects in the environment for research points you can put towards crafted gear, and searching the planets for material to make that gear out of. There's a hell of a lot of it. Choice is a strong component of advancement in Andromeda too. I'll leave it at that to avoid more spoilers, but rest assured that you'll be making some tough choices about the fate of the initiative as you go. The fantastic combat and strong story points far outweigh the technical missteps and more cringeworthy moments. BioWare may have bitten off more than it could chew scope-wise, and the fringe elements of the game clearly suffer for it. However, they've still nailed the key aspects of what makes a great Mass Effect game. Fun exploration, compelling characters and stories, mostly, and some of the most interesting and fun third-person combat out there. If visuals are the main reason you play games, tread lightly. Otherwise, dive right in and join the initiative. There's a whole new galaxy out there for you to explore.
Get to the gravity well! Shit, it's sealed! Try to get something under it!